Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Good evening and welcome live to Apex Racing TV for a brand new season of the Apex Racing League Mazda Cup. We are here at the iconic Gamstrek 24-hour race. I am Andy Thompson. I'm joined in the commentary booth by Adam Hadfield, and on production we have the wonderful Samuli Kumar, who will be giving you the cameras. So welcome, Adam, to the booth. This is your first series of the Mazdas. Are you looking forward to it, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a cracking race and series. I'm looking forward to it very much. We're breaking new ground here tonight, obviously, at the start of Season 4, pulling in a 1-hour endurance, which is new to me, new to everyone taking part, and our fans at home.
Yeah, definitely. So this complete series of the Mazda Cup is been shaken up a little bit from the usual 3 15-minute rounds that we used to have. So just to give you a general layout of the season as we go on, we've got 12 rounds, which features 4 of 3 different formats that we've got. So we've got the hour-long races that we have here tonight that are visiting the larger tracks within iRacing that the Mazdas very rarely actually go around. Then we have 2 25-minute races around the medium length tracks, and then we have the staple of the Mazda Cup, the 3 15-minute races around the smaller usual tracks that the MX-5s are on. So certainly going to be challenging for the drivers, but it very much seen from the end of season 3 is that's what the drivers wanted. They wanted a little bit of a shake-up. They wanted a little bit of a mix-up in the rounds to really test them, because I think obviously doing the 3 15-minute rounds for season after season probably does get a little bit repetitive, but this should certainly spice up the season going into the next 12 rounds.
Yeah, and it's nice to see that from Apex, taking on a driver's feedback and providing them with the racing that they want to partake in.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this one now, and this is obviously the first season, the first ARL league, if I'm not mistaken, that we've included a Pro-Am. So we have 3 different classes. So not only have they got 12 rounds, where they usually had 9, they've got extra 2 formats. We've actually included an extra class in the session as well. So we have Pro-Am, and the amateurs. So the Pro is 4K iRacing and above. The Pro-Ams are below 4K, but above 1900, and then the AMs are below 1900. So gives a lot more scope for the drivers to challenge a lot for the championship within the 12 rounds. They do get 2 drop rounds as the one for the previous seasons, so it gives them opportunity to drop 2 rounds within the 12 round season if they can't make a race, or if they have pretty much a terrible. And talking about hard tracks, we've given them set the stall out pretty hard here, Adam, at the Nürburgring 24. It's an infamous track. I've seen them, obviously, the live streams on the TV every year, and it is always streamed with lots of incidents. Luckily, the drivers don't have rain to contend with, as it would normally be in the 24 hours, but it's certainly going to be an interesting race.
Yeah, give iRacing time, and we might see the wet stuff before you know it. And yeah, it's not called the Green Hell for nothing. 16 miles of asphalt through the forests, 160 plus corners for these drivers, first to memorise and then master. And at the moment, the master of it looking like our Season 3 champion Ferrari, leading qualifying with a 9:51, which is an outstanding time, 2.3 seconds faster than anyone else out there at the moment. We join Jacob on board now, dropping down through the hills, and you can see from this onboard as well just how narrow the circuit is. Well, that's another thing we've got to contend with. Any overtaking, you've got to show respect to your overtaking partner.
You certainly have. And these corners and curbs are treacherous as well. You take some of them at speed, and you'll be losing some front suspension or rear suspension and spinning the car wide. I mean, any sort of mistake around this track is really harshly punished, because you can see there's literally 0 runoff coming through this part of the track. When they get onto the GP circuit side, a little bit more room to play around and get the slight off tracks, but certainly not around this part of the section.
The barriers are right there to snatch you up. Any contact with the grass and you're probably sliding down the barriers for some distance. And suspension on these cars very easy to break, so keep away from the barriers at all costs.
Yeah,
just 4 minutes to elapse in qualifying now. Oh, as we see Jakob slide out onto the grass there, just showing us all how easy it is to do around here.
Certainly. But these cars are probably, as we watch Ross Fowler do the same, these cars are probably a lot more forgiving than the likes of the GT3s, GTE cars, because if you get off of the grass around here on one of them, it's pretty much game over. But as we've seen in previous season of the Mazda Cup, if you do get off track on these cars, you can normally save a spin because of the speed difference between the different classes. So it's going to be really interesting to see, and it's all going to be around about that first lap, whether you can keep it nice, clean and consistent, and literally try and stay out of trouble, because the field is going to be so closely compact. You've just got to have eyes at the back of your head and out to the side, because not only are you got to watch the cars in front of you for any cars spinning, but you got to watch for the optimistic heats up the inside and try and give room. So, as you were saying, Adam, it's such a narrow track. So, to make any sort of pass around this track, it's got to be a brave move.
Yeah, there's also the pit stops to deal with. I wonder if how many of these drivers have had a go at shooting into the pits at full blast, using the Grand Prix pits, which is a little bit easier to enter than the Nordschleife short pit lane, but it's still something you've got to sort of master. There's time to be gained and lost there for all of them.
Yeah, as we can see here, Gladio is coming down the fast garden, coming down the second. There's about 14 different sections on here, so I have no idea which section this is. We'll call it section 4 and cut the track in quarters, because there's about 13 different sections, 14 different sections on this course, so quite a few to contend with as we watch Matteo Bartolodio go in there, who's currently sat in third in the Param. So we've got quite a few brand new drivers to this league, which is always great to see. We got the old hats coming back, the names we're used to, like Knight, Goosen, Serrani or Fowler. But a lot of the Pro-Ams all seem to be new to the league, so a very big welcome to them guys, and I hope they really enjoy it. And obviously to the viewers out there on YouTube, if you do fancy joining in, you've still got an opportunity, still plenty of places up for grabs on the grid, and with having them 2 drop rounds, you still be in the fight for the championship. So if you do fancy this and fancy the different formats, then head over to apexracingleague.com and sign up there, and maybe we'll see you on track for the next session, which I think is a 2:25 minutes is the next round of the championship. So we try to do it so it's an hour race, a 25-minute, then followed by a free 15 minutes, and then going back to the hour, just to try and mix it up a bit rather than having loads of the same format next to each other. So should be a really interesting series. You know, we've got visiting tracks like Silverstone, but these cars have never been around. Montreal is the other hour-long race, which is I think I've ever seen a Mazda race around there, so that certainly will be interesting, and one for the drivers to try and master as well.
Yeah, and those 2 drop round scores as part of the championship mean that you can join a little bit late. You're not going to miss out on anything. You're not at a disadvantage to the drivers who are here tonight. So you'd just be using this round as a drop score. So everything to fight for if you want to join us next week.
Yeah, 100%. Coming now towards the end of qualifying, less than a minute to go. So the drivers will be getting prepared to sort out their positions. And as you can see, the top of the pile at the moment is Ferrari there in first place. Agnan in second place, the pro standard new driver, Martina in third. Musumeci, who was second in the season 3 pro standards, there in fourth, and Pinocchio in fifth. Always a hothead is our Pinocchio. He does some really good passes, and he always pressurizes the drivers in front of him, so it's always entertaining to watch Pinocchio go around the track. We got Zicki in the first place at the Pro-Am at the moment, Germantis in second, Bartologo in third, and I'm pretty sure we'll get a rundown. And Adam, I'll let you take the grid positions for the first race of the season when they come up.
You're very kind. Right. On pole, as we mentioned, Roberto Ferrari setting a 9:51.8, 2.3 seconds of gain ahead of Marcelo Pagnan, who joins him on the front row. Jakub Zerski heads up the Pro-Ams in third place, from Martina in fourth place. Yamantis takes fifth from Musumeci in sixth. Pinocchio claims seventh place, and Paul Hayden, the first of our English drivers tonight, in eighth. Matteo Bartolodio in ninth from Christian Nalepa. Kedzia in 11th, and Dan Skinner rounds out that first sheet. Principato in 13th, Austin 9th. In 14th, Jen Goosens 15th, joined on the 8th row by De Kuyper. Simone Soriano in 17th from Russ Fowler 18th. Leading off Ian May, Damien McCullen, Graham Coleman and Sam Mitchell in 22nd. Tortilla joins us from Japan in 23rd place, Rafael Lisani in 24th. And the last few drivers, Alan McCain, 25th position, number 292, Joseph Cliss in 26th, Nick Harrison 27th, Fredericks in 28th, and rounding out the grid, Jay Walsh, 29th and last place.
There we have the grid. A bit of mixed up on the classes, but this race sort of we'll mix them up as we get set to get season 4 underway with Ferrari on pole positions, and the lights are off. Poor start really there from Ferrari. With Pagnini get a really good start getting up on to the inside of Ferrari there, coming into turn 1. Turn 1, a little bit of a treacherous and really tight right-hander, followed by an immediate left-hander. They cut off the Mercedes in-curve part of the GP tracker. So they all managed to get nicely through there at the moment on the field. So side by side, taking the first half out through the GP track as we watch. Oh, Austin Knight getting a little bit bumpy there with Russ Fowler, the two AM drivers side by side as they come down into the Ford. I think it's the Ford curves, isn't it? Yes, the Ford curves coming down into the Dunlop curve. So we see a little bit of argy-bargy already between the drivers, and we're not even out onto the Nürburgring yet. So keep it clean, guys, nice and clean. But all in a big long line at the moment. Ferrari still managing to keep out front with Bagnan behind him in second place. Martin in third place there at the pro standings. But we do have a little bit of a mix-up here. We've got two pro-ams at the moment battling in between the proms. We've got Jakob Zerski in fourth place with Arias Germantas back there in fifth place. So the only real change is Premisol Martinelli, who's in third, has just managed to get past Jakob Zerski in fourth. But pretty much the rest of the field in the top 15 as they start for qualifying. So nice easy opening lap. The drivers should be doing it, keeping it nice and clean, but it's a little bit more tasty and dangerous when they get onto the outer part of the track, that's for sure.
Yeah, drivers taking what few opportunities are available to them now on the Grand Prix loop before we head on to the old circuit. I noticed Goosen's making up a position on Fowler as well, as after that little bit of a brush with Knight. Oh, and he's going for the lead as well. Beautiful move, straight through the chicane. Goosen's making up 2 places off the start to lead the AMs.
Yeah, Goosen's he was very strong at the end of season 3, mixing it very much with the pro-am. So a bit of an incident there coming out onto the old Ian May from the Potato Nation team. Unfortunately, getting it slightly wrong. I don't think he was actually hit by another car there coming out onto the old track. I'm sure we'll see a replay here. So just coming around the last chicane of the GP track, taking the tight right left-hander onto the old track. Does he get it just slightly wrong himself? Yes. Unfortunately, just getting slightly wrong. Hopefully not too much damage to the back of his car. Did get a slight tap on the way through there, but nothing too serious there. So managing to save his car and keep him underway, and he is currently sat in 8th position overall in the AM class.
Yeah, I think that little touch on his rear actually helped to spin him round, so he won't be too mad about that. It got him going a bit quicker and managed to retain 8th at least. Oh, as we've got someone spun in the background. Someone's off in a high-speed section. Oh, and reversing back onto the track.
Oh, Tom Mitchell.
Oh, and further contact as we come over. Thanks, guys.
Oh, wow, Graham. And he's certainly going to struggle from there to try and get the car back to the pits from there at the start. You can literally see the back end of his guy. He's got a puncture on his front left-hand tyre. It's a hard call because it's such a long toe back as we sort of see what happened here. So he came around right-hander before the left-hander, long straight. Oh, car. Oh no, car in front just reverse. I'm not sure who that was. I think that might have been Sam Mitchell there, just to reverse and slightly back onto track, which caused a little bit of chaos coming down there. And that's poor Joseph Clist managed to put it the wrong way. So I think he'll be doing an Austin Powers 15-point turn there, trying to get himself back the right way around. But Graham Coleman obviously deciding to retire to the pits, which is going to be an extremely long wait toe back to the pits, that is.
Join the front of the Pro-Am group now. Our front 3 leaders in Pro have started to pull away. Pepford and Humantis battling over 4th and 5th overall in the lead of the Pro-Ams. And then a couple of Pro drivers tucked up behind them, probably wishing that they had got ahead so they could go away with the leaders at this point.
Yeah, it certainly has, but you can see the big long train, and that's what it's easily to happen. One car at the front has a slight mistake because this track is so tight. You know, you're going to cause a cascading effect down the field, so you're relying on the driver in front of you to try and keep it as safe as possible, but be as fast as possible to try not to lose too much time over the rest of the field. So it's that gambling game, and obviously this first lap is going to be the more treacherous with them cold tyres as well. So you can't push it like you would normally, say, on your second lap. Certainly halfway around this track, the tyres probably should be warm and able to do. But we're on board at the moment with Usamechi, who's 6th overall but 4th in class in the Pro, where we've got them 2 Pro-Ams at the moment in 4th and 5th of Zertsky and Germantis, who are fighting extremely hard at the moment for that Pro-Am win. So those guys doing exceptionally well, getting ahead of the pros. Looking further back down the field, obviously the top of the AMs at the moment, we've got a really good fight between Austin Knight and Jens Gusens, fighting it toes and nail on the track, and just saw Austin just taking a position back from Gusens. So I'm pretty sure those two are going out, as we see literally a bit of bump drafting between Marcel Pagnan and Professor Martin in 3rd place, as we see possibly a change in the leaders of the Pro-Am here. Not quite. Arish Manchester still managing to hold off Zertsky in 2nd place there, but it's all over the back of Germantis at the moment, so may only be a matter of time. And certainly when they get onto the dot of the hole in that extremely long straight, the slipstream effect will come into play with these cars. It's such a long straight, and the cars will be near enough maxing out by the end of that extremely long straight. But at the moment, travelling around, probably around sector 3, coming into the carousel here, getting nice and low here, just following it around, trying not to get onto the outside of that carousel and just popping out of it. That's a perfect illustration of how to do it. You might see a lot of cars going 3/4 of the way around there and popping out and taking a visit to the wall on the right hand side. So yeah, excellent display there of how to do the carousel.
Yeah, a little bit of an art form on how you get in there at speed and then maintain the low lines as you don't get out front boys. Clearly well practiced at it, doing a beautiful job of displaying how it should be done. We follow Usamechi at the moment. He's just fallen off the back of our Pro-Am leaders by about a second now. He'll want to try and close that up so that when we do get to the Dottingham Her, he can benefit from the full slipstream. Otherwise, the front 5 may have escaped him, and then he'll just be in a fight for 6th, 4th in class though for the pros, fighting off Pinocchio at the moment.
Yeah, so the points are not done by class, they're done by overall position. So at the moment, Arios Shamantis and Zakia will be scoring a lot of points over the 3rd place in the Pro Hands. Napella, who we've joining on board at the moment. There's about 4 places between Christian Napella in 3rd in the Pro-Ams, but 4 places behind Ariel Germantis at the moment. So a considerable amount of points sort of to be dropped. So, you know, even if you're mixing it with the other classes, it's always good because you're maximising your points on your overall finishing position, not on class finishing. As we watch out, Pizzapato probably had a little bit of an issue in one of the corners. Very slow and nearly gets into Austin in the battle for the amateur win at the moment, but certainly managed to get in front of Goosens, but Goosens manages to get past him now as Principato is up to speed now and should be joining in this AM battle on screen at the moment, but well off the pace at the moment is Principato, who's 8th in the pro standings.
Yeah, he took a while to get up to speed there, didn't he? I think that demonstrates just how much of a momentum car these little Mazdas are. You've got to carry your speed through the corners, otherwise you're going to be a little bit of a sitting duck every time you come to an exit, and the drivers who have managed to keep up their speed come drafting past you as we get onto the Dottingham Her for the first time now.
So we're just going to have a look what happened to Ian May. He's obviously talked back to pits and got his line completely wrong into that corner. Literally, look at, he's like bent the chassis on that car, and that's how Ian May is towed back to the pits at the moment. Graham Coleman with Sam Mitchell are the 3 drivers at the moment that are towed back to pits. But we'll see here the front 4 just nose to tail coming down the extremely long straight here, coming into the final section really of the old part of the track, and then they'll come back onto the GP circuit to complete their first lap. Ferrari not managing to pull away, obviously very quick in the qualifying and very quick overall on this track. I think this is probably one of his favourite tracks, but probably biding his time, getting his tyres nice and warm. And that's something we haven't really talked about as we watch Jumantas literally getting right onto the back of Martinez's car in third place, but doesn't manage to make that move stick, and is sticking behind the three front-running pro drivers. But we haven't really talked about the tyres, Adam, in this race. I mean, it's an hour-long race, extremely demanding on the tyres. It'd be interesting to see when they come into the pits if they decide to change tyres. I mean, that 20 seconds or so to change your tyres has got to be worth it in a track this size.
Yeah, it's certainly potentially worth it. I'm sure at least the front runners will have considered that and done a little bit of testing on just how far they can push these and what the drop-off is. In most series, you tend to do 2 or 3 stints before you change a set of tyres, but with such a small car moving around a lot, you might need it.
Yeah, definitely. As we see a classic Ivan Pinocchio move there, he had a little bit of room. That Napella gave a little bit of room there on the inside for that hairpin, and Pinocchio said, "Thank you very much, I'll take that," and just dove up his inside. But obviously not taking too kindly to that, as tried to come straight back on Pinocchio, but got a little bit wrong there. We have Paul Aiden just behind these two as well, just ready to capitalise on any mistakes that the two drivers in front of them do make.
Yeah, you told me Pinocchio was aggressive, and immediately I can see he's missing his left front wing mirror, so evidence bears it out. As we join the Kuipers now, racing down Austin Knight with Goosens about 2 seconds up the road, Fowler in behind them. See if these three work together now as we enter the old circuit once more.
Interesting to find out what happened there, because obviously Austin Knight was leading the amateurs, and Goosens has managed to pull out a 2-second lead, so Austin must have had a slight issue around the GP track, and obviously Goosens has capitalised on it to the maximum at the moment, but Austin has Niels Cooper behind him for company and Russ Fowler, so his wing mirrors will be full of Mazda's. You see Pinocchio go extremely wide there and lose a place he fought so hard for to get over Christian Napella there, who's managed to take back over 7th place over the mistake that Pinocchio just did. Very easy to do on this track. I mean, you see him there extremely aggressive over the curbs. I mean, you don't want to be doing that too often around this track, because one time it will bite back and you find yourself in barriers quite easily. But at the moment, Pinocchio pushing it as much as he can within that car and taking track limits to the extreme.
Yeah, but it's what you've got to do. You've got to push it all the way around this track. You can't leave anything on the plate, otherwise the other drivers are going to eat you alive. As we join the front few again, it's now a train of 6 cars. The original 3 drivers of Martin still in there, but have been joined by Yamantis, Musumeci and Jakob, making a break for it, these front 6. As we see Kuipers and Knight side by side. Oh, banging doors. Has he just caught the grass there? Yeah, he's in the grass.
He did extremely well there to stop that car, obviously coming off the grass and trying to brake hard at the same time. You normally see the cars unfortunately hit into each other, but did a great job there, did Niels the Cooper. Just managing to slow the car down and not hit Russ Fowler behind him, but and managing to keep that pace. So an extremely good drive in there, showing his off-road skills on the Nürburgring. But Austin at the moment under all sorts of pressure from the 2 drivers behind him, so just needs to keep it clean as Austin and just try to get his lap times consistent, because what he's doing at the moment is he's letting Goosens get away. 4.3 seconds now. The difference between Goosens and Knight obviously increased by 2 seconds in the space of about 3 sectors.
Yeah, he doesn't want to lose any more time to Goosens, does he? If he wants to win the ARL race tonight, he's going to have to probably learn to work together with the drivers around him and push back up to the front.
Yeah, certainly another front of the field. I'm just seeing a slight change. Eric Musumeci has managed to move up to 5th place. Jakob Zertsky and Christian Napella obviously obviously falling a little bit back, so Zertsen managed to be overtaken by Musumeci, an extremely fast driver. We saw that in season 3 of the Mazda Cup. But at the moment, Ferrari is usually miles ahead of the field in these sort of races. Is getting a little pegged back, which is always nice to see. You don't want to see one driver running away back down there behind him in second place, keeping him honest. Only 0.6 of a second between himself and Martina in third place, only less than a second behind as well. So the top 3, in fact the top 6, doing an excellent job, and it's a nice long train that these guys are doing, keeping the pace quite closely over this 25.95 kilometre track. And as we were saying, 170 turns on a lap. I mean, that's got to take some toll on the tyres in an hour race.
Just exited Bergwerk and now onto another of these high-speed sections where they should all close back up again. The front 3 absolutely as one. Just dropping the mass ever so slightly, but I imagine by the time we get back to the carousel they'll be right there again. And 6 of them working as a unit effectively to pull away from the rest of the grid. Oh, a little bit of jockeying as we enter a hard braking area. Everyone playing it safe there. Careful not to run into the partner in front of them.
Yeah, as you're saying, working really well together. They're currently 9.5 seconds ahead of 7th place of these front 6. So pulling away nicely from the rest of the field. So sort of a little pocket battles are going to start to form within the grid. And then from 10th, right, from 7th from Ivan Pinocchio, all the way down to probably 11th at the moment. They're quite closely in a battle. There's a little bit of gap there till 12th. About 11 seconds, and then you've got a pocket of about 3 cars. So it's like little pockets of 3 cars from 11th all the way down the field, just fighting it out all the way down to the back of the field. So interesting battles that are going to be going on into this race. 18 minutes into a 16-minute race at the moment, so certainly going to be interesting for the rest of the race. Probably go about 3 laps before they have to come in for their fuel. Obviously we've limited the fuel tanks of these cars to 50% to ensure that they do have to do a pit stop, which is something new to the drivers as well. They've never really had to do pit stops in any of the Mazda League races. This is the only one, the hour-long races, that they have to do a mandatory pit stop. The rest of them will be straight on track for the full time. So something a little bit more interesting for the drivers having to think. But with this lap being so long, it'll be all coming in on the same lap. Oh, as we see, Principano having a big hit there with Bartolo and kids there in 8th place. So a bit of an incident there coming around the corner. And Adam, I'll let you take you through it.
On board. Oh, and he's just run wide. And Kezier's an innocent party there, I think. We didn't quite catch the front of that incident, see what forced him off. There might have been a little bit more to the story, but I think he ran wide all of his own accord, caught the grass. Right, this is a better shot. Let's see how he got there. Yeah, he's just run wide on his own, and Kedzier's been caught up in it. Wrong place, wrong time. The Polish driver.
Yeah, I think he might have some suspension damage as well to the front right of that car, so we'll have to see him as we see him tow back to the pits with a damaged car. So a bit of unfortunate luck, and that's probably one of the big things about this track is, yeah, you can follow closely behind the driver, but any type of mistake and any sort of hit, as we see there, is you're running quite high. Oh, as we see going extremely wide there. Orazio Pano in, moving down, and Alan Kay managing to take that position to get P16. So at the moment he's still managing to go around his Principato, but will have a heavily damaged car. So we join the battle again for Martina on the Dottineau down that extremely long straight, all slipstreaming each other with Ferrari at the front, just weaving around, just seeing if he can get out of the way of them at the moment. But they're just all queuing up at the moment. It's going to be interesting to see where they can try and take them.
Yeah, it always makes me nervous when you've got more than one car trying to push in there. It's the classic saying in iRacing, don't push the pusher, because something in the physics tends to spit one of the cars out at a funny angle. Yeah, they got away with it this time, but yeah, it's always got my foot tapping if they start pushing like they did then.
Passenger seat driver in it. It's like, oh, stop. But no, as they start their third lap at the moment, and Ferrari is still out in front, but has certainly not had this race all his own way. I mean, I've seen some of the lap times he said he's done, his fastest lap times, and they are extremely fast. But at the moment, the rest of the drivers are sort of keeping him honest, really. So it'll be interesting to see if he can try and pull away. I mean, this is going to be the last lap before they come into the pit stops, and then the pit stops are going to play a big part, certainly if they're this close, to see where they're going to come out from that round of pit stops, because they're finding it extremely hard, this top 6, to try and pass each other.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how many of them are thinking play it safe until the last lap. Pagnan and Martin certainly seem happy enough just to bump draft down the long straights. And I imagine last lap that little agreement will break down as they all go for the win. Meanwhile, Russ Fowler on the inside of De Kuiper. Kuiper, I think, claiming the position there around the outside. Lovely move, keeps hold of. What's that? That's 5th in class, about 12th overall.
Yeah, 14th is Niels Cooper at the moment. Obviously, third in class of the AMs, as we can sort of see there. Car number 5 on track. Is he 5th? No, he is a Pro-Am. I do stand corrected. He's 5th in the Pro-Am. So fighting it very hard at the moment with the amateur driver is the Cooper. I thought he was actually an amateur, so no mistake there.
Just looking down through the timing so far, those front 6 are obviously away in the lead. We've then got 5 or so cars, about 15-16 seconds behind them, made up of Pinocchio, Hayden, Malappa and Skinner, and then another big gap back to Goosens in 12th, and then Knight with 2 or 3 drivers close in behind him. So we've sort of splintered off now into groups that can still keep each other in towing distance. See if any of those coalesce into a bigger battle.
I'm sure there will be. Any opportunity these drivers get for a passive move, they normally take it, as we got Thorntal. And I'm the best of race down there in 19th, our Pro driver. But I mean, this is one of the tracks that probably throws all iRacing and experience out the window, and it's all about your luck and how you drive the track. I mean, people probably don't put a lot of practice around this track because it's probably quite. I mean, I'm probably one of these people. I do not know this track at all very well. I've tried to do it a few times and I just keep crashing out. So to try and learn the full lap probably takes a good 6 months to get any decent speed on it. So I wouldn't probably pay too much into the standings at the moment, but the people who are faster, like Goosens and Knight at the moment, will be making a huge points haul over the rest of the amateur drivers that are lower down, that do have the pros and the pro-ams mixed in between them, because, as I said, you know, the points are based on overall position and not class position.
Yeah, just going back to how drivers treat this circuit, it's one for the fans. Some people, I think, spend half of their iRacing career just lapping the Nürburgring, getting it down to an absolute perfect art. I'm with you, though. Oh, as we've got someone sliding off into the gravel, that's Fowler.
Fighting hard.
A little bit of help there.
That was the battle there with himself and Niels de Coupe, as we watch Austin. Niels de Coupe right behind him, Fowler just behind him. Is this a self-imposed? I think it is. Just gets slightly onto the grass into the corner. Too hot. Oh no, and picks up Niels on the exit. Niels still managing to go around, but it's one of the things, trying to go too hot into these corners, trying to make that guts up. Mistakes get made, and unfortunately Russ hit the grass, couldn't stop in time and hit into the side of Niels Cooper there, so puts him further down the field and puts his lap laps now at jeopardy because his car will be severely damaged. So should be easy pickings for the cars behind him as we're on board with Tulo, who's right behind Fowler at the moment. You can see the damage on the right hand side of Fowler's car as we go through, and he's going extremely wide all the time. He probably, all he wants to do is, as this is the third lap, is probably, if you're going to have an incident, this is probably the best lap to do it on, because they'll all be coming into the pits this lap. They do get a fast repair, so as long as he can make it back round to the pits and not lose too much time, overall it won't be too much of a loss apart from the time he's lost on track.
Yeah, I think Niels is going to be having nightmares about Arenberg tonight. Last lap we saw him slide out into the grass and just about catch it in time before causing an accident, and then one lap later he's being collected there. He'll be nervously biting on his fingernails as he approaches on lap 4, I fear, hoping there's no one else around him, I imagine. As we join the front three again now. Again, these front three, every so often we join them and they've just pulled away from the other three in this group of 6. I think they're hoping to completely break the elastic this time round though, because they've got a little bit more of a gap over Jakob. Mantis still right in behind a Musumeci, who was, I think, in about 4th place when we had them on the dotting at her last. He's fallen back. Whether he's just got shuffled in a little bit of battling, I'm not entirely certain. But again, the power of the draft just pulls in 4th and 5th place there. So we've got a sort of a front 5 with Musumeci almost able to draft back onto them.
I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? They had a little bit of a gap, and then within a couple of corners the gap was gone. I mean, it just showed the freaky nature of this track is that you can see a big gap. Yeah, we're getting away. Next thing you look back, oh, he's right behind me again. I mean, it's absolutely insane, this track. Beautiful for, like you say, a spectator to watch. I mean, the undulating ground, you can see the cars literally jumping over the track. Not exactly the smoothest of tracks to be racing on, but probably a purist racer's dream as we see a line not to take around the carousel. Lost Paul Hayden a position and a lot of time there. Literally couldn't use the banking of the carousel to his advantage and pulled out over, and now has his teammate right on his tail for company. Does Paul Hayden with Danske just behind.
I imagine he's just got in there too hot. Oh, speaking of too hot, that was Ferrari off. Picked up some grass and maybe a little bit slippy for the next few corners. Seems to have got it all pointing in the right direction again though now, just to display that these guys are still pushing. They're not coasting to the end whilst they're together. They're still trying to break away from each other, and Ferrari right on the edge there. A few inches more and he might have found a barrier.
I think he's decided to put the hammer down now a little bit of air between himself and Pagnan there back in 2nd place, with 3rd place just dropping slightly further back. You have 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th all close together, but Ferrari really trying to put down the hammer here. Managing to go with him at the moment in 2nd place, with 3rd place just dropping off ever so slightly. So just like that, he's just increased his pace, and the rest of the other 5 are struggling now to keep up with him. And this is where you don't want to make them silly mistakes, because this pace has now started to increase. You know, everyone will be in their comfort zone. This is where the mistakes will be made, and you know, there's nothing worse than being in the top 6 miles ahead of the rest of the field. Stupid little incident, or trying to push it too hard into a corner and getting it off. But yeah, Ferrari seems to be now pushing this pace along nicely, and we'll see who can keep up with the current pace being set by Ferrari.
Yeah, I've got to say, I was somewhat blown away by Ferrari through those few 5-6 corners we just followed him in there. I mean, they're all on edge, but Ferrari was really slinging the car in there, the attitude on it, as he still managed to get it turned in under control. That's some fantastic car control on display there. Unfortunately, it's not going to gain him anything now, though, because we're on to the Dottinger Her, and Pagnan's going to make all that effort seem wasted as he drafts by into the lead. Clearly he wants to be the first one into the pit lane, as I imagine they're all going to duck in about 30 seconds time.
Yeah, definitely, but we see there Ferrari was getting away, and Pagnan just managing to give it a little bit of last showing coming into the last part of the old section. You know, see the power of that slipstream, was trying to get away, got on the dot and go hole onto the long straight, and again they've all just bunched up, so it's going to be a mad dash now into the pit lane, I believe. or 6 of these cars will be coming in, so it'll be interesting to see what the fuel strategies and what the tyre strategies are on all these cars. As we see them just following Ferrari wherever he goes, we're going to follow. So certainly the Shepherd Master at the front is Ferrari with the rest of the cars behind them, so it'll be interesting to see as we now join the battle for 7th place, which is currently being led by Pinocchio, but we've got Bartolomeo just behind him in 8th place, Paul Hayden there in 9th, about just a bit of a second. So literally all the cars will be filtering in now into the pit lane.
Yeah, everyone's got to be careful on pit entry. They're coming in groups, so they need to watch their braking. They don't want to suddenly pile in and block the pit entry. Just as they came in, we saw the first 6 had all found their spots. About 10 seconds, sorry, 20 seconds even behind the lead group. Lead group now just leaving the pits there. I think I just saw Gimantis pulling away.
Yeah, so Gimantis has managed to jump Ferrari. Same with Pagnan, jumped Ferrari. Ferrari coming out the pits in 3rd place. So the pit timings were 22 seconds by Marcello Pagnan, 21 seconds by Aris Gimantis, 24.95 Roberto Ferrari, and 23.9 for Enrico Musumeci. So I wonder if there was maybe a slight little tyre change or a couple of inside tyres being changed by a couple of drivers, but slight position change then coming out of the pits to start this 4th lap of the Nürburgring 24-hour track.
Yeah, and has McCain gone past the pits? I'm looking at that front 7 now, and McCain, I don't think he was with the front 6 before, was he? I think he's driven past the pits. So you think he can get 4 laps out of half a fuel tank?
I mean, that'd be quite impressive if he does. I mean, he's up 20 positions from where he started, so literally jumps, as well as Leslie's managed to think that he can do another lap of fuel. I mean, it'd be amazing if they can do. As you can see, the rest of the field really coming in on lap 3, feeling that they didn't have enough fuel to get another lap. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on McCain and Leslie to see if their strategy has worked off. If it has, they've profited quite well at the moment by getting up there. Obviously, they still have to take their pit stops, but I don't know, was that a risky move? I don't know, but at the moment, McCain, who is up 20 positions from where he started, as we watch Ivan Pinocchio taking a little bit of a spin on the GP track. Whereabouts is that? I think that is coming around Blitzen Curve, I think it is. Yes, it is.
See how he does it. It's the Schumacher S, isn't it? On the climb up the hill. Oh, and just taking too much curb. Too much curb in what is a very small car, and it's unsettled it, and round he goes. Oh, and then he makes his situation a little bit worse. A little bit too much mustard on the throttle just to spin in through an extra 120 degrees. He'll be kicking himself for that one for the rest of the race, I imagine.
I'd imagine so, but looking at the lap, the pit stop time is very different times. The front runner's only taking around about 21 to 24 seconds. The further you get down the field, it's more like 31 to 34 seconds. So a bit of a different strategy from the front runners to the mid runners to back runners. So maybe the mid runners have taken some tyres on board, realising that maybe 6 laps around this track, maybe a little bit too much on the tyres. But at the moment, we got Pagnan in first place, Gimantis the second, Ferrari our leader for the first 3 laps in 3rd place with his teammate Musumeci behind him. McCain there sat in 5th place, but he's yet to take his pit stop. As we watch Gimantis here battling out for first place, managing to get past Pagnan in so we've got the Pro-Am currently leading the first race of season 4. So Gimantis having a storming race at the moment, with Ferrari's there lurking in the background on Pagnan. So given the opportunity, I'm sure he will try and take it at the earliest possible chance to try and get that second place back. As you see, slightly pull out onto the car, so all over the back of Pagnan at the moment, just trying to maybe put him off a little bit into the corners and put a bit of pressure just to see how the new driver to the MX5 League handles it at the moment. Gimantis having an excellent race at the front of this field, really outshining himself in his class at the moment, and if he finishes here, that would just be the perfect start for him in his bid for a championship title. The first one in the Pro-Am that we're going to have here on Apex Racing TV.
Yeah, that's a stellar drive from Mantis to get out front and now be leading. And I think they are pulling away from their fellow front six drivers. Obviously, Musumeci, Martina and Zertsky got separated through the pits. Whether they did decide to take some tyres on and that's what caused them the extra time, we'll find out at a later date, I imagine. But for now, it's separated them off the back of these front three. And now I imagine it'll just be these three. Oh, as your Mantis slides out into the grass there, making use of all the track and just a little bit more. Carry speed through this section.
I think that's what you have to do in these Mazda cars to get the maximum speed on. You know, like I said, these cars can go get one wheel off the track and go onto the grass and probably still be quite safe in these cars, as we saw Ferrari on the previous lap before they all came into the pits. You know, he was driving really aggressively, cutting the corners as much as possible to get on the grass. A lot of other classes of cars would just spin off, but these being obviously entry-level cars into iRacing are a lot more forgiving on off tracks and bits and pieces of that. But talking of off tracks, the guys only have 20 incident points before they will get a penalty, so they've just got to watch and manage how many incident points they do have, and then it's 10 after that. So if you do manage to get 20, we might see a few drivers having to drive through that pit lane at the moment. But big shout out to all the viewers on YouTube at the moment. So we've got BFG House saying that he's doing it before the big straight, obviously talking about Ferrari trying to do a big push on there. We got Jose Pedro saying that Vita Mito, Andreas Tossini via Principato, so a lot of support there for guys. And Peter McCann at the moment cheering on Arias there in the front, calling him his hero. So, you know, big shout out to you guys. If you want to shout out on here, just obviously write a message on the YouTube and we'll try to air it. If you do like the obviously broadcast, do give us a thumbs up on the description, and also, you know, think about subscribing to the channel. We have loads of racing here on Apex Racing TV pretty much every day of the week, covering pretty much every single car class on iRacing. So just click that subscribe button and the notification button, and you'll be notified of every time Apex Racing TV goes live of new races that you can watch. But yeah, thank you for joining us, as Germanta still managing to keep out front here in first place. You've got Pagnant in second and Roberto Ferrari, and these three have managed to pull away from that fourth place, well, where we did have 6 cars. These three have worked together quite well this opening lap after the pit stops, and have managed to get a 5-second gap now over Musumeci, who's currently in 4th, and has a 2-second further gap over Martina in 5th place. So really the round of pit stops have, as it does in most races where you have pit stops, Adam, it really mixes up the field when they come out.
Yeah, definitely. I just think we've passed the 40, we're coming up to the 40-minute mark even. Maybe just a rundown of positions at the moment. Mantis leading the race from Pagnan and Ferrari in that breakaway group of 3. Trailing them now, Musumeci, Martina, and our lead driver, who is yet to start, McCain, trying to make 4 laps out of a 50% fuel tank in this Mazda. He's going to be on fumes as we finish this lap of the 16-mile course. 7th place is Jakub Zertsky from Hayden and Skinner. Bologio 3rd in the Pro-Ams, in 10th overall from Nalpa, Pinocchio, and Goosen still leads in the AMs, 4 seconds ahead of Knight in 14th. Behind him, Principato 15th. De Kuiper, after some adventures during this race, down in 16th. Chased by Lesney, Sereno, McMullen, Tuller, Fowler, Fredericks in 20 seconds, Walsh, Clist and May, last of the runners. As we join Skinner now in 9th place, being fought with Pelogio all over the back of him as we approach the second of the carousels. Oh, and he's just used a lot of curb there, obviously fighting hard to keep hold of his position. He wants that top 10. Oh, we've got a driver going slow as well. Who was that? Number 143. up on camera, probably just slid wide, maybe caught a barrier as we joined Skinner again.
Yeah, that was Alan McCain, obviously our driver that was still awaiting to go into the pits, having a little bit of an issue coming down. So it'll be interesting to see if he can actually get back to the pits. So coming down the long straight here on the old part of the track, and he hasn't really got anybody for the slipstream as well. So, you know, probably hoping for a little bit of slipstream to fuel save, but unfortunately he didn't have that as we watch the battle here back at the front. And Ferrari has managed to get back to the front of this race with Bagnan getting second. So Germantis has been demoted to third place, but overall that's an exceptional position for even if Germantis finishes in third to taking this first round. You know, he's not really fighting these guys for championship position in their class, being that he is the Pro-Am, but at the moment he's the top Pro-Am. As we watch Alan McCain here, who's in 7th place, who will be coming into the pits, and yeah, it looks like 4 laps was doable on this track. So maybe a lot of the other drivers being a little bit overcautious of not being able to do it.
Yeah, let's see how far back it drops him. We estimated about a 22-23 second pit stop time, so that should put him back around maybe just after Bologio, currently running in 10th, so he might be able to snatch a top 10 finish here with his unusual strategy compared to the rest of the drivers.
I mean, he was up 22 positions on that lap, the previous lap before he came in the pits. So, you know, even if he comes out 10 positions less, that's still like 12 positions up from where he started. So, an excellent race for Alan McCain in his first outing in the Mazdas on the Mazda Cup. So, really good showing from himself. Still in the pits at the moment, taking 33.9 seconds in the pit, so just coming out in 13th place. Maybe lose one more, so probably go down to 14th and 15th. So there we go. So from 6th down to 15th, we got Raphael Leslie now coming in from 17th position. The last of the pit stoppers, and everyone has now done their mandatory pit stop within this race.
Yeah, interesting to see those two drivers going an opposite strategy there. Whether it's played to their advantage or not certain. Certainly McCain obviously got up near the front and got himself on camera as he tussled with the front 6. But now dropped down to 16th place and probably looking for, well, he's not that far off of, say, the top 12 Goosens. We're in about 10 seconds in front of him. 3 laps to go, that's 2 laps to go even, that's certainly doable.
The fastest driver for the fastest lap I've looked at is a 9.52 by Marcello Pagnan in 2nd place. So he currently holds the fastest lap, which is pretty much on par with Roberto Ferrari's qualifying lap time there. So an extremely fast lap from the Italian driver in 2nd place. But at the moment we've got Roberto Ferrari out in front, and just by magic, Samili, I was just thinking that if we just have a look at the overall class positions at the moment. So in Pro we've got Ferrari who's obviously winning this race, Pagnan at the moment in 2nd, Musumeci in 3rd, Martina in 4th, and Paul Hayden in 5th place. You can see the gaps there as well. Paul Hayden 32 seconds off the pace of Ferrari. In the Pro-Ams we got Germantis in 1st place, Zicki, who he was fighting with quite a lot at the start of the race, currently in 2nd place, 14 seconds back from Germantis. Martinogo in 3rd place, 36 seconds back, and then from 5th down, it's just a torrid time it looks like in the Pro-Ams. 1 minute and 11 seconds to Cooper. McCain 1 minute 12, Tulo 1 minute 40 down, so a lot of time lost there in the Pro-Ams. In the amateur cast we've got Goosens out in front. Austin Knight currently in that 2nd position, 4.6 seconds behind. Looks like he's got a bit of free air around him as well, so should be able to maybe try and eat into that lead that Goosens currently has. Sereno in 3rd place, 23 seconds. Fowler in 4th in 37th. Obviously fighting out with Knight for that 2nd place, but unfortunately came a cropper coming down to Unbound corner and unfortunately hitting into De Cooper that we saw on the previous but 1 lap. And McMullen rounds out your top 5 in the amateur class. I mean, 44 minutes into this race, 15 minutes left to go, and to only have about 3 cars out of the race in this grid is to the drivers at the moment, really taking this first one. It was either going to be a really good race or complete carnage for this first round, but I'm glad to say it's been a really good race overall, touch wood. And I haven't commentated, cursed anyone, but overall it's been a good race so far for round one, considering it is a hard track to do after having about 2 months off from racing.
Yeah, we've always seen a couple of major incidents, one right at the start as we approached floodplains on the first lap, and then another small incident on lap 2. But apart from that, and I imagine a few hairy moments off camera where people have caught the grass, I think it's all been fairly clean. The drivers have done themselves a good bit of merit tonight, showing off their skills. Still 2 laps to go though, so let's not curse them too much. We join Skinner now. Seeing off Pinocchio behind him. No, sorry, Bellagio in behind him.
Yeah, certainly is. So you've got the Pro-Am driver just behind the Pro driver at the moment of Dan Skinner, who's currently sat in 8th place with Matteo Bellagio there in 9th place for the Pro-Am driver. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty even spread at the top, and then from sort of 14th down, it's pretty much all the AMs. So the splits in the classes at the moment, a little bit mixed up in the Pros and the Pro-Ams, but overall the split is, I think, been done very well at the moment. It's hard to say from round one. It's when you get back onto the usual tracks that's where you see if the splits are true to what they should be, but we can sort of see here, Niels de Cooper in 16th place at the moment, trying to chase down Alan McCann, who he is fighting for position in the class, in the Pro-Am class, who certainly has him in his sights at the moment, so should be a very interesting battle for P15th overall. But Alan McCain he's had a storming race, up 10 positions from where he started this race, so had a pretty terrible qualifying down there in 25th place, but you know, to get up to 15th place is nothing but exceptional on this very hard track. We've had a few incidents where drivers have managed to lose it a little bit, so we've probably gained a few from that, but it's all about keeping it clean and keeping it consistent in these hour-long races, and at the moment Alan McCain has done the perfect job, and he is the biggest mover in the field so far.
Just going back to your comment on the mix between the pros and the pro-ams, as we did mention at the start, a lot of the pro-am drivers are new to this series, so we haven't really had a chance to see just how fast they can be, and they may merit a jump up into the pro classes because they are that fast and can challenge for the wins in the top 5s. As Bellagio takes over from Skinner between these two, obviously thinks he can set a faster time on his own. There's a chase after Hayden in 5th, 5 seconds up the road. Ahead of them, Jakub Zerdski, another 24 seconds. We've started to really string it out now, as perhaps to be expected on such a long circuit.
Yeah, and you can see on the track map they're all still relatively together on the section track. You have got some drivers that obviously have had the instance are a little bit further track, but the congestion is still there. There's gaps in between the little pocket battles that we are watching on the screen, but overall you can see in the track map in the top right that they are pretty close together, so it's been an exceptional race really for the drivers that they've managed to keep it this close. I was expecting sort of Roberto Ferrari to be sort of lapping the field, but it's certainly not been the case, and Roberto Ferrari has certainly found himself in a battle at the moment with Magnan, who's obviously new to the MX5 League, so big welcome to him. He's done an exceptional job managing to keep that car in 2nd place, and Germantas there in 3rd place, the current Pro-Am driver, doing an exceptional job there, keeping the car in 3rd place. And like you were saying on the classes, you know, the admins can actually decide if a driver has been placed in the wrong class, and he's been exceptionally good. They can move around people into different classes, so it's not like somebody could run away with the championship. The admins of Apex can actually decide to move people up and down accordingly.
Smoothly just popped up our fastest laps from each class there. Is that what I'm seeing at the top? Pro drivers fastest lap of 9:52 from Pro-Ams. I imagine that's Umantis setting a 10:01. And the fastest lap, I imagine that's Goosens leading the Ampers with 10:04. And I don't know about you, Andy, but every time we cut to Ferrari, I get a massive grin on my face because he is throwing that car at every single corner. 30 degrees to straight, I swear, every time he enters a corner, hopping over the curbs. And yet he still keeps it on the straight and narrow between those white lines. It's a phenomenal display from him. Not to take away from the other two, but I think Ferrari's just a little bit different class tonight, as we saw it in qualifying, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, obviously our regular viewers here on Apex Racing TV with the Mazda series will know the name of Roberto Ferrari very well. He literally drives that car like it's a Ferrari. You know, he was so dominant last season. He literally threw the gauntlet down to the field and nobody was able to pick up the mantle at all, ran away with it and was by far a class above everybody else. But hopefully this season we might have a challenger to him in Pagnan in second place there, who's still managing to keep on his toe tails at 0.4 of a second. You know, considering this is probably one of Ferrari's favourite tracks, he's being kept in check at the moment, but as we watch the battle further down, it's a battle there, managing to get past Jen Goosens for 12th place, does the Pro driver. So Pro driver getting in front of the Am driver. We did see him have a little bit of incident at the start of the race, which has obviously put him further down the position in the field than he would have otherwise been, but currently trying to make his efforts back, and he's got Ivan Pinocchio, his teammate of Furious Racing Team, in front of him in P11th, although he is 22 seconds up the road, so a fair old gap as we join the battle here with Russ Fowler having a bit of a battle with Damien McMullen, Damien managing to make the move on Russ Fowler, but we've got, oh, is that the Cube just going extremely slow at the end?
Has he put enough fuel in, do you think? Or has he caught a wall on this lap?
Sure, but he's going extremely... Oh, look at his front right hand. Damaged front right hand. And, you know, the problem is now, is if he's got his fast repair ticked when he came in for the pits, any slight damage it would have repaired, and he might have already used his fast repair up. So that would be an absolute travesty if that has happened and he didn't think to unchick the fast repair, and he pretty much has to do a standard repair, because that will put him out of this race, which would be big unfortunate for him, as we saw some excellent battling between the amateur amateur, which we'll watch on screen, but we'll see if he gets out straight away. Oh, missed this pit box as well, so
he's done it at the mini carousel. It looks like he was following the driver in front of him off track there. He did it a little bit harder. McCain in front, I think, missed getting down into the banking, and then Kuiper's just said, well, if you're going to go off a little bit, I'm going to beat you and go off a lot. It seems that he did have his fast repair available to him though, because he's out of the pits now.
Yeah, so that was a lucky stroke of luck that he did that. I mean, it's a very easy mistake to do. It's a little tick box on your black box to uncheck it. If you're not used to fast repairs in the series, then quite easily, I probably would have done left it checked, and any slight damage on your pit stop would have been fixed. And back to the front of this race at the moment, Roberto Ferrari and Pagnan in second place, 0.3 of a second just behind him. Constantly pressurising Ferrari, but not finding that cutting edge to make that pass. Even down the long the whole straight, he can't get that slipstream to get past Ferrari. So I don't know if Ferrari's got a secret NOS button in that Mazda, but he just can't seem to get it done.
Yeah, Umantis, I think, will also be looking for a NOS button. Is just watching these front two pull away from him ever so slightly, corner by corner. I think we're going to have an Italian anthem playing out for us in approximately 5-6 minutes time. Mantis just not quite able to hang on to them at the moment, and he's not got a particularly long straight to help him coming up just yet. these front two just pulling away ever so slightly. Pagnan's still right under Ferrari's rear bumper.
He's got to make his move soon if he can. I mean, he may be pushing it to the absolute limit to keep it on, but he's doing an excellent drive just to keep it this close to him, because, you know, if you join us for the rest of the season, you'll actually see how commanding, certainly when we get on the 15-minute races, how much Ferrari just almost like dominates them races. And if you've not seen, have a look at last season in Bathurst and some of the outrageous moves that Ferrari was doing. I think it was down at the Conrod Straight. In fact, you had Skinner and Hayden side by side in first and second. Ferrari is tucked up in third. The old time racing team right across the field to block him off, and he decided to go on the grass to pass him and got the move done. I just thought, how audacious is that of the guy that he can think, well, if you're not going to give me any room on track, I'm just going to take it off track and take you both. I mean, that's like you were saying, you know, watching him go around these corners. It's something I'm used to watching. I'm still in awe in how this guy Roberto Ferrari gets so much pace even off grass with this car.
Yep, and that's the size of the challenge Pagnan's got in front of him now. Half a lap to go. I'm just wondering whether he'll show Ferrari the nose, just try and unsettle him a little bit before the dotting of there. Just let him know I'm still here and I'm definitely going to fight you all the way to the line. Or is he going to just sit and wait and pounce at the last second? Ferrari's obviously going to be looking in his mirrors for the rest of this race now. Just wondering when the attack's going to come, because it's going to come. We can see right now Pagnan pushing him along. This is absolutely relegating Humantis to third, though. Obviously winning the Pro-Ams, but I don't see him catching these two again now. It's a dogfight to the finish between these two.
No, definitely. I think he's probably realised that maybe these two in front are a little bit quicker than what he is, and taking, you know, the sensible option. He's winning his class at the moment by a considerable margin. The nearest one to him is Jack Ruzetsky, who's currently in 6th place, so he would gain 3 places, and then 9th, 10th is the next one, and 15th. So that Pro-Am class has been smashed wide open on this opening round with the split up of the Pro-Am field. So these top 2 drivers in the Pro-Am will be getting some decent points over the rest of the field. So it'd be very much catch up for the rest of the field for the rounds to come, to see whether they can claw back the leads that Juventus and Zerzi are going to have in first and second of the Pro-Am, with the rest of the classes pretty much states. But, you know, we talked about Ferrari and Pagani. We've got Goosens at the moment in the AMs, and not Austin Knight 6 seconds behind him there, so it's a tight battle going on in the amateur battles. And I know Serrano's a fast driver as well as Fowler and McMullen, so that's going to be a really interesting class to be watching. I think, like you said, with having so many brand new drivers in this Pro-Am division, it's feeling out what the newcomers are like on the different types of tracks, and this may just be one of them tracks you don't go for. As always, you see Thor Tullo getting slightly off bent, currently down in P19th, and certainly got a bit of front left damage on that. I wonder if it's a burst tyre, but no, it's pretty much suspension. Look at his rear right-hand tyre.
Oh, that's going to be really painful for him. 5.5 laps done of the green hell, and then right at the end, maybe just lost momentary concentration. That's all it takes, and he's into the wall, and his night's done. I was actually going to mention at the start of the lap, Austin Knight was about 2 seconds behind Goosens, and I was just wondering if he was going to make a last lap charge to claim that win. But I think what Goosens has done quite cleverly is let Principato get in front of them and drafted up for the rest of this lap, because he's now pulled a 7.5 second gap away from Goosens, away from Knight even, sorry. Oh, the car in the wall. This time it's Jay Walsh.
I think he's stuck in that barrier. I don't think you're out of there, Jay.
Lap 6 claiming a couple of heads here tonight, I'm afraid. Meanwhile, with the head still screwed on, Ferrari 6, 7 tenths ahead of Pagnan now. And we're onto the Dottinger for the last time. He's going to get challenged here though. Pagnan within easy drafting distance. The Jaws music is on as he closes in relentlessly now. Is he going to pull left or right? Which way is Ferrari going to force him? Ferrari sticks to the middle of the road, gives up the inside. Pagnan seizes it immediately. And Ferrari ducks straight back in. Will he have time to draft back out of it? We've seen a couple of exchanges down the straight a couple of times tonight.
I think he has, you know, plenty of straight left to go. Probably try and get that inside line coming up to the last corner, going onto the grass slightly, trying to get that inside line to get that position back, pushing Pagnan out, taking that curb, 2 wheels, managing to get the car back in front is Roberto Ferrari. So Pagnan just probably thought he had it done, but Roberto Ferrari just managing to take him on the last couple of corners. Ferrari looking to start off where he finished off last season with the first win of the season, and Pagnan, I mean, he gave him a challenge all the way to the line there as we look at Aris Gimantis currently in third place, just taking that position, so managing to get the class win in the Pro-Ams.
Martina and Musumeci battling over fourth right to the end there. Martina coming out on top. Here we go again with Skinner though. Skinner and Borlogio still fighting hard. And Skinner takes it off him. These guys battling over 8th place at the moment. Oh, and down the inside of the lane dive.
Oh man, that took me back to the last 24 hours. I think I saw that in the official race. Somebody tried to do that and cut that corner a bit too hard and slid right across the track and literally blocked off the whole track. But luckily Bellagio managing to keep the car on track and finishing there in P9th does the Furious Racing team. And Jens Goosens just coming around to complete his, which will take him to the first place standings in the amateur class. So all 3 class leaders have just about come over the finishing line.
Yep, Goosens claims 13th overall there. We wait another 8 or 9 seconds for Knight to appear on the horizon. Here he comes now at the end of a hour-long slog to claim second in class. Great drive from him. 25 seconds, 2 laps before Serrano comes across the line to claim third in class for the AMS.
So we'll just look back, just look at the passer move here. So obviously we just saw Pagnan overtake Ferrari. Ferrari managing to get that slipstream again, going literally wheels on the grass on the outside, taking that bump really well, you know, looking not to flip that car, and then just managing to get his nose in front of Marcello Pagnan there and relegating into second place. But fair play to Marciano there in second place to put up the fight all the way to Ferrari right to the last couple of corners. So what an excellent end to the first round race here at the Nürburgring 24-hour track layouts. I mean, it's been amazing. I think throughout the field we've had the odd incidents, Adam, but I think overall the racing's just been exceptional, and the battles that we've had on track between the different classes has been phenomenal.
Yeah, some quality driving there, some good mixing between Pro-Ams and Pros as well, which we saw throughout the race. Long may that continue throughout the season. I've got to say, my heart was in my mouth when Ferrari took all that curb and it bounced him sideways. Had just enough room to get it settled and in a straight line before he door swiped Pagnan. But excellent judgment on how he managed to pull that one off.
Yeah, definitely. Just before we get the grid race results, just like to give a big shout out to our 3 main sponsors for this series of the Mazda Cup Virtual Racing School. They have 50 plus data packs, road and oval racing. That includes setups, track guides, data analysis software and one-on-one coaching. Head over to virtualracingschool.com, and that goes quite nicely along with that is Apex Racing Academy. They have 29 data packs. They include setups, track guides integrated fully with the VRS, weekly group coaching sessions, plus many more. Head over to apexracingac.com, and like I said, if you have both of them, they actually talk to each other to give you the complete overlay package on iRacing. And last but not least is SDK Gaming, that provide our wonderful overlay we use here on Apex Racing TV, that adds a virtual live hub, racing shows, timing towers, enhanced relative boxes, mini maps, fuel calculators and more. Stream to Twitch with the most comprehensive overlay on iRacing. Broadcast your leads and series with SDK Gaming, syncing your commentary teams and your camera teams, focus drives and overlay with your broadcaster, and adjust your team strategy on the fly with the most accurate live timing on iRacing. So head over to sdkgaming.co.uk to sign up for them, and I think you get a 14-day free trial, so just head over there. So voice is a bit hoarse there, Adam, and so would you mind going through the race results, mate?
A problem. Roberto Ferrari claims his first win of the season in our first hour-long drive, just 4 tenths ahead of Pagnan, who challenged him right to the end. Argus Humantis does himself exceedingly proud tonight, winning out the Pro-Am category and coming third overall, just 9 seconds off the win. Martina claims 4th place from Musumeci, those two fighting right to the end as well, just 3 tenths between them as they cross the line. Jakub Zertsky comes second in the Pro-Ams, 6th place ahead of Paul Hayden and Dan Skinner. Matteo Borloggio in 9th place from Christian Nalepa in 10th. Ivan Pinocchio claims 11th ahead of Orazio Principato. Jens Goosens wins out in the AMS, 10 seconds up the road from Austin Knight. Alan McCain claiming 10 positions on the night to finish 15th from Simone Serranio. Russ Fowler and Damien McMullen in 18th. 19th place claimed by Yves Fredericks. Nels de Cooper, who we saw exit right at the end of the race there in 20th. Paul Clist comes home in 21st from Ian May. Thor Tuller, another driver we saw exit after damage. Jay Walsh ended his night in a barrier, unfortunately. Raphael Lesney, Sam Mitchell, Graham Coleman, Bartolomeu Kedzia, and finally Nick Harrison rounds out your 29 car grid.
And there we have the grid. We have a few drivers in the interview area. Would you like to take the first interview, Adam, and who would you like to talk to?
Throw me a curveball. I don't mind who comes in here tonight. I'll give them a roasting.
I'll let you deal with Austin then, one of our co-commentators here on Apex Racing TV. So over to you, Adam.
Austin, my co-commentator from Saturday night. How was that in the hot seat?
Well, it's definitely hot. I think I created a new lake in my room or something. I am sweating up a storm right now. But that was a lot of fun. You know, provisional pole in the class. I did 1 lap. I then crashed into a wall. I'm like, that's it. If anything else happens, I'll take it. Jens is a beast. I can't catch up with that guy. You know, I had a little bit of lead on him, but, you know, some lower qualifying pro-ams got up behind me, tried making up moves, created the gap, and that's what I couldn't catch up with him. I saw one of the pros coming up behind me, and I was going to use this draft. I did get into 2 seconds, and then I completely forgot. Oh yeah, he's also going to get that draft too, so he used my strategy to catch up to him to pull away, but you know, I'll take P2 knowing on how hard it was for me to even get on the podium last season.
Yeah, we discussed it in the com box actually.
I was listening.
Pato came through, wasn't it, to pass you and pull you up to.
I let him by. I wrote it in chat, just like, hey, go left.
And obviously, you pitted at the same time as Goose. Were you hoping that he might have a sticky wheel nut or something in there?
No, I wasn't. I don't really wish anything negative against Goosens. Now, there's always this, like, if he makes a mistake, it happens, but I don't know. He drove a perfect race today. I wanted to do a little bit of a short pit, but I saw at the time that if this goes 1 extra lap, none of us will make it on fuel. I'm glad it didn't. I don't think it was even possible that that was even a question. I think about 50 seconds, but you know, it was a lot of fun. And I gotta say, I'm loving this hour format. I feel like a lot of the drivers at the start of the race took their time. And, you know, I'm looking forward to all the hour races now.
Yeah, for an opening race of the season, it was surprisingly clean on the opening lap.
Now lap 3.
Do you expect that to continue throughout?
No. It's the Nürburgring. If you get a crash here in the opening, you got 160 corners to tow through or to drag your car that's limping through. I had to deal with a blinking car on turn 1. I was like, oh crud, and I'm just going to stay over here. That I think Russell had to avoid him too, and we just kind of banged doors, and I'm just like, oh no, it's already started. But after that, it was just all who was the better driver here today, and you know that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's normally you asking this question, but we'll give you a chance to give out any shout-outs that you want to get out there before we move on.
Yeah, shout out to everybody at Lead Paw Racing. You know, we had a strong showing last season. Pan, they're dealing with a lot of medical stuff, so hopefully Pan, you all get better. Hex, he doesn't have a desk to mount his computer because he recently moved, so Dex, Hex, hopefully everything goes better with you, and I get to see you out on track. And everybody at Artesian Builds, they build my computer. I also work for them, but if you go to artesianbuilds.com and use code Pravda_210 to get up to $200 off a fully custom PC, and we have everything in stock, including 30 series graphics cards. And everybody at Aporia Customs, makers of our merch over at Lead Paw Racing, and everybody here at Apex Racing TV.
Lovely few promos there. Thanks for joining us, Austin.
Thank you. Y'all have a good one.
It was Austin Knight, obviously placing second in the amateur at the moment to Jens Goosens. It'd be nice if we had some of the front runners, but we don't have any currently waiting in the area. But what we do have is our regular Irishman that always comes in for every interview, Mr. Damien McMullen. Hi, Damien, and welcome to the box. And how did you enjoy that first hour-long format in the Mazda race?
I enjoyed it, but the one thing was I do not like North. I know I'm going to get hate, but it's one track I just cannot gel with. And after doing Daytona over the weekend and everything, yeah, my mind was all over the place. But I enjoyed it. I got fifth. I'm delighted. I didn't die.
Exactly, mate. I think that's one of the big accolades when you come around the Nords. It's very much a Marmite track. You either love it or hate it. And I did obviously know beforehand that wasn't one of your favourite tracks when I announced what we were going to do, and you were the first one to make a comment, should I say, on that. But fifth overall, not too bad for a track you don't really like. I mean, how are you looking at the rest of the season and the big shake-up with the different formats that we've got going on? I mean, what's your thoughts on them?
I love the new format because, say, a shake-up after, this is season 4 now, so it's great to have a bit of a mixture of, say, an hour or two 25-minute races, and then the old-fashioned 3 15-minute races. So, yeah, it's a really good mix, and I can't wait to see how it all turns out.
How do you feel about the extra class in the Mazda as well, having a Pro-Am now?
It's great to see because it gets more drivers interested, and it's giving a good advantage to people who are not going to be with the Pro, so it's going to be a Pro-Am. So, yeah, that's good for everyone else. So it doesn't bother me at all.
That's good. So we got Alton Park next, which is 225-minute race on the full track layout, the international layout. How are you looking forward to that? Because if I remember rightly, last season you fared quite well around there.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite tracks, and one of those tracks that you gel with, and this track does gel with me. So I just can't wait for this round for next week.
That'll be amazing. So before we let you go, mate, would you like to give a shout out to anybody?
Just wanted to thank Dolly and Apex for running another good season. I know it's only the start, but definitely going to be a good season. And to my sponsors, Formula Nonsense and IMB Racework, I just wanted to say thank you again for letting me get on board with you.
Nah, that's fantastic. So we do have actually. Well, thanks for joining us anyway, Damien, and sorry
no worries.
To you off there, and look forward to seeing it on Park. Adam, we do have a newcomer to the league, and he finished 6th overall, Jakub Bezetsky there, who will pull it into the commentary booth for you to get an outlook from a new member of the league. So over to yourself.
Jakub, welcome to the box.
Hi, thank you very much for having me. It was a very, very tough race for me. It's great to be there, to compete with all these great drivers. My race was not so good. We did some steam. We did some small mistakes that made a big difference in the end results. But overall, I'm very happy with quality of racing and everything like that.
Yeah, you started out in third place on the grid, obviously hoping for a podium at the beginning there. Slightly unravelled as you fell to sixth, and I think you lost some time in the pit stops, didn't you? Unfortunately, because you were with the first six for that opening stint.
Yeah. First of all, we take too much fuel, and I missed the stop. So I couldn't bump draft anymore with Przemysław, so we couldn't catch Enrico anymore. I couldn't help him in that fight. Yeah, but most painful is that I didn't take win in my class. That could be much better.
Second in class in the end there. That's still a good result for the first round of this 12 race season.
Yeah, it's good, but it's not good enough for me. I always want the best, and I hope that in the next races, maybe not on the Alton Park, but in the next races I can show that I can win, at least in my class.
Yeah, you hold yourself to some very high standards there, if only winning is good enough. Yeah, how are you looking forward to the different formats? Do you have a preference between the three?
I'm very interested in 3 times 15 minutes. It seems like there will be a lot of chaos, but I like situation like this. I can find myself good in those situations, and I see points, big points for Hyperion that we could take in those races. So 3 times 15 minutes, it's the most interesting for me, definitely.
Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Jakub. Second in the Pro-Ams.
Thank you very much.
Jack, I've just got one question for you. How are you finding it, being obviously a newcomer to an MX5 league and new in there? Have you enjoyed the experience? Would you recommend it to any of our listeners who are thinking about joining it?
Yeah, I would recommend it. Definitely. It was very fun. I'm not an MX5 driver. I drive a lot of GT3s and LMP2, but this was fun. This is much fun, and it's easier to keep up because of lack of dirty air. So if anyone loves good fight with good quality drivers, I can recommend, definitely.
Well, thank you very much for that. I was hoping you were going to say that and not the opposite, so I'll put my neck on the line, and luckily it paid off. So thank you very much for joining us, Jacob, and we look forward to seeing you at Alton Park next week. So good luck, mate.
Thank you very much.
There was Jacob Zatsky there, who finished second in class overall in the Ammons. It's always good to see, Adam, that a driver has got that much confidence and is disappointed with a second place. It instills confidence in yourself and pushes you on. But like you said, then 15-minute races that we do have, the 3 sessions, they can be hit and miss, whether they're carnage or they're really good. But he seems to thrive under pressure, so it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, end of this race here, have you got any final thoughts, Adam, of the race that we've had here tonight, and obviously what to look forward to in Alton Park?
I just think it was an excellent race, and it stands us in good stead for the rest of the season. Obviously, we've got some pointers to look out for in future. Let's see if Ferrari can continue his championship and individual race winning ways. Will Pagnan be able to overthrow him at some point tonight? I'm interested to see how Mantis continues after dominating the Pro-Ams, and obviously we want to see if Jakub can satisfy himself with a win at some point during the season. No, I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season. I hope everyone that's been watching will join us next week at Alton and for all the remaining rounds.
And most definitely, and a big shout out to our 3 class winners: Roberto Ferrari in the Pro class, Arias Germantas in the Pro-Am, and Jens Goossens in the amateurs. So that brings us to the end of this broadcast. Before I go, I'd just like to obviously say, if you do want to see more about Apex Racing TV, then please follow us on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and just look for Apex Racing TV. Just go over there to see all the news on all the series, some nice pictures, and some upcoming news of events that are happening on Apex Racing TV. For myself, Andy Thompson, from Adam Hatfield joining me in the commentary box, and from the wonderful Damuli Akumo in the production box, from round 1 of the Apex Racing League Mazda Cup, we bid you a fair night and hopefully see you next week at the same time for Alton Park. Thank you very much and good night.